Ooh. All right. Shalom, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. Man, what a week it has been, brothers and sisters. And I always look forward to these days where we come together in fellowship and encouraging one another. Because boy, this world sometimes it will wear you out. Wicked folks will wear you out. And that's why Paul tells us, though we are not under the law of Moses, we do not forsake the assembly. That we should always come together in fellowship among one another, because brothers and sisters, seriously, we are all we got. And when we come together, we're supposed to be encouraging each other and lifting each other's spirits up, because make no mistake, brothers and sisters, we are surrounded by nothing but wicked folks. Israel, wicked, and the heathen, wicked. And there's only a remnant among Israel that's got some sense. Okay. Now, before I do any more talking, brothers and sisters, if you guys can hear the mic well, there's no in and out sounds, there's no grainy noise, no popping noise, or anything of that nature, just go ahead and put a 7 in the chat for me so I know everything is all good. Because again, I don't know what's wrong unless you guys tell me. And I would rather get these audio problems wrinkled out now, so that way we ain't got to deal with them later. Sometimes that, distracts from the lesson. All right, brothers and sisters, I definitely appreciate that. And I just want to say, brothers and sisters, if God has blessed you with resources, if he has blessed you with substance, you got a roof over your head, place to lay at night, amen, all praises to the Most High. You ain't sleeping in your car. All praises to the Most High. You ain't sick. All praises to the Most High. Because brothers and sisters, it's bad out here, man. And like I always say, sometimes when you serving the Most High and he's taking care of you, you forget how bad it really is out here. It's bad. People getting their wigs split by God through Satan. I mean, getting domed out here, brothers and sisters. Because why? People out here do not understand what it means to walk in love. And so God is out here wreaking havoc on this world through Satan, because that's who he used to get man in line. Just like the Lord used the nations to beat Israel, but when they get out of line and don't want to walk in love, he used the nations come beat our butt to get us walking in love. Well, that's what he doing to this world. He tightening the vice grip on them. Mm-hmm. People getting beat down, brothers and sisters. People living out on the street, living in a car, one paycheck away from losing everything. People getting diseased and plagued. It's a mess. And we don't want to hear it. But it's all because people don't know how to treat each other. Satan has fooled man with his system. All of this individuality all of this individuality that Satan is pushing. Screw my brother and screw my sisters. As long as I got what I got, I'm good. They better go get their own brothers and sisters. That's of Satan. God did not put us on this earth, brothers and sisters, to be individuals. Those are lies and doctrines of Satan. No, God put us on this earth, brothers and sisters, to be a family. Not to acquire resources, to hog it all to ourselves, being greedy. No, we're supposed to get these resources and we're supposed to be sharing these resources with one another as a family. But see, Satan, he teach and he preaches the opposite. As long as you got yours, you good. Screw everybody else. So this is what God would do. God being wrathful, this is what he will do. He will send a hurricane. Okay. And the hurricane literally will destroy an entire state. I mean, absolutely destroy an entire state from top to bottom. And then once he do that, what do you see the people do? They forced to do what? Come together, work together, and share resources. Either that or they die. Because the government, FEMA, and all of them, they already letting you know. Insurance companies, we not helping you. Y'all on y'all own. That's why God will send stuff like that. To try to show people, listen, you've abandoned each other for stuff, material things, houses, cars, fame. You've abandoned your fellow man. You've abandoned those that are in need. So I got to show you what this life is all about and why I put you on this earth. And he'll send a tornado or something crazy, fire, and wipe the entire state out to force people to come together. I'll never forget, what is it, Hurricane Helene? I'll never forget that. I don't remember if it was South Carolina or North Carolina that was affected. I believe it was North Carolina. And I'll never forget, you know, the news people, they went over there with their cameras, you know, whether they was on the ground or whether they was in the helicopter, and they was just showing how everybody literally had to come together, work together. They had to build a community together. That individual stuff, it went right out the window. Because remember, the Lord took it back to the ancient days. There was no electricity. There was no lights, none of that. And plus, too, you know, this technology allows us to be on our own. But when that technology is taken out of the way, you are instantly taken back to the ancient days. And that's what happened to them. And I had even seen little videos on YouTube. People was making little like mini documentary series on what was going on. And I just seen how everybody was being polite to each other, being kind. They had to, you know, ration food to one another. They had to take turns, you know, using bathrooms and, you know, washing themselves.
That's right.
That's right. Darren took them cell towers out too. The people, they had to be wholly dependent on each other or death was waiting on them. And that's why the Lord does those things. Because even in that, he's showing you that this is what all of this is about. Walking in love. All of that, you know, politics and all of that madness, that stuff is of Satan, creating division. I don't care about politics and left and right and up and down. No, I want to see my fellow man eat. I want to see my fellow man's kids being taken care of.
That's right.
Being able to have something to eat and have somewhere to lay their head. That's what I care about. To hell with politics. Nobody, brothers and sisters, should be sleeping on the streets. Nobody should be sleeping in their car. Nobody should be going 2 days without any food, while one man walk around with $2 trillion in his pocket. And that's right, Erica Goodman. See how you just said it's cold in Chicago right now? Now me, I instantly think about the poor. Because all of these people on the street, they're going to be sleeping in that.
Yes.
We forget that. That's why I told you, listen, you got somewhere to lay your head. Hey, all praises to the Most High. Because that's not the reality for a lot of people. And you shouldn't be out there laughing at people that's on the street and making fun of them for sleeping in their cars.
That's right.
Because you know why? That can just as easily be you. Brothers and sisters, we know too, in this system, it don't take a lot. You are one car accident away from losing it all. You one sickness away from losing it all. You one paycheck away from losing it all. You one false accusation away from losing it all. You one layoff away from losing it all. And no offense to a lot of the people that, just now joined the streets, but a lot of them were arrogant.
Yep.
Because at one point they had substance and they had resources and they were what we call keyboard warriors, online talking all that smack. The people on the street, they're lazy, they don't want to work, they just want to be victims, this and that, totally ignoring the corruption of this system and the evil that we know these rich men and the kings of the earth, that go that dynamic again, that we know that they're doing. And so these people, they speak from their ivory towers. They're speaking from their 2-story house. They're speaking from a table with a plate full of food. That's why they don't have no mercy and they don't care. But then when they lose it all, now all of a sudden they can see reason. This is why the Lord beats the crap out of men. Because as long as men, and when I say men, I mean women too, as long as they are prospering, they can't see the plight of their fellow man. That's why he has to beat the living crap out of them. That's why the Lord, he would make fun of Israel. He called that's Jeshurun. Because when we waxed fat, brothers and sisters, we became terrible. We became completely negligent of our fellow man. And the law of Christ is all about your fellow man. It's all about looking on the plight of your brothers and sisters. I can't do much, but how can I alleviate some of the burden of my brothers and sisters? Because God know you ain't him, but he just want to see. Do you? Sometimes it ain't even just doing that. Sometimes God want to see if it's in your mind. Do you
Just
even think about your brothers and sisters? And the reality is most of us don't. Because I'm driving my little 2025 car. Got my nice little bank account going, and you know, say I come home to a nice big old house smelling good, got food in the fridge, and as long, now I'm telling y'all, as long as man and woman, as long as they got that, they ain't worried about nobody. So unfortunately, what he do, he tell the angel, he say, now I want you to go spark these fires right here. Go ahead and spark these fires and light the whole state on fire. He say, see, once I do that, they'll see reason. Now they'll be able to look out. Now they'll be able to see their brothers and their sisters that's in need. They'll be able to now finally look down on the plight of their fellow man because they have now joined them. Look at Jesus. He was the wealthiest man that ever graced the earth, brothers and sisters. You know why I know he was the wealthiest man? Because he's the possessor and owner of all heaven and earth. So he leaves the rich or those that have resources without excuse because he's the possessor and owner of all heaven and earth. And what did even Jesus did? He looked down on his brothers and his sisters' plight. And he did what? He helped them. Yep. He alleviated their burdens. But these rich people today, and I ain't putting a jacket on all of them, because there are some rich people that they are doing the right thing with their money. And they are helping their fellow man. So I don't want to put that jacket on all of them. But majority of them are terrible. They walk around with 2 billion, 5 billion. What this family over here is worth 13 trillion. What? And greedy won't help nobody. It's a mess, brothers and sisters. But see, Jesus, when he came down, being the owner and possessor of all heaven and earth, he left those that have resources without excuse. He said, if I could see those in need, being the possessor and owner of all heaven and earth, you can too. Boy, ain't nobody got an excuse. And now you got these rich boys. They trying to make it illegal to be homeless. Yep. Or to be out on the street. And see, they don't mind passing those type of laws because it don't affect them. They don't care. Hey, I'm in my house because you know the way they see it is the poor, they in my way. Meanwhile, I'm in my big old house, chilling, sleeping, eating. Get these poor people out my way, man. But see, that rich man or that rich woman, they would rethink their actions if they lost it all and they went out there on the streets. Yep. How would you like to fall victim to the very laws that you passed? That's what the law was all about, brothers and sisters. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That is the law. And it's so sad going out here and seeing the poor ripping each other apart. And this is why you need family outside of blood relatives. So that when you have oppression or hard times come, you have a fallback. Because we were not put on this earth, brothers and sisters, to rely on ourselves. We were put on this earth to rely on each other. To be what? A family. But Satan has come with this individualism stuff. So now when hard times and oppression come, or when unexpected stuff happen in your life, because it just do, and you lose it all, you have no fallback. You're finished. You don't have that community there to help you because everything is individual based.
That's right.
Now, the rich boys, they used to try the same laws and this mess that they passing and tearing the poor with. They tried this back in the day, but see, it didn't work because back in the day, it was still family outside of blood relatives. Yeah. Everybody operated as a family outside of blood relations. And so guess what? The government, the rich, they couldn't overcome the people. But see, through their tactics, division, political, all of this stuff, distractions to divide the people. And not only that, they even gave people stuff.
Yeah.
And the people forsaken their fellow brothers and sisters. So now you don't have a fallback. So now that the government understands, and the rich, they understand that no one has a fallback anymore. So their threats now have weight to them. Because they know that nobody ain't got nothing to fall back on. So now they know that because the rich, they know that the people are afraid of them now because guess what? There's no power in individuality. So if you try to rise up against me, I will destroy you as the government or the rich boy because guess what? You ain't got nobody to fall back on.
Right.
So when I take your job for speaking out, you done. So guess what? Now you gonna fall in line.
That's right.
You ain't gonna speak out now because you know I'll take your job. And guess what? You ain't gonna have no family or community to fall back on this. So guess what? That's gonna make you obedient and subservient to me. So yes, the tyranny has already begun. And meanwhile, they tell you, yeah, see, yeah, you got to be a man, got to be a woman, you know, you got to get your own stuff, you know, everybody get theirs, you know, you get yours, you know, live your own life. Don't worry about nobody else. Meanwhile, the rich, right? The rich, they operate as a family. Isn't that the irony? They tell you through subtlety, through deceit, hey, screw family. Be an alpha male, be a bad bee, get your money, do your own thing, abandon family, abandon your own brothers and sisters, and then they turn around and they operating as a family with one mind. Because who you think the rich take care of? Each other. Because they consider each other family. They work together.
That's right.
So the people, they've been sold the lie. But the rich, hey, they work together, but they sold the poor a lie. Yeah. Them rich people, they work together. I be laughing at these silly Americans because that's exactly what they are. Oh man, I don't know why, US would send money over there, to Ukraine, to help out the Ukrainian people. And over here, they not helping, the US citizens out with money when we need it, the people need it. You cannot be that silly. They will never send money to help the people. Nope. Whether it's American or Ukrainian. No. I'm going to send this money to my rich brother. That's who getting the money. Them Ukrainian people and all, they ain't getting no money. No. We call it a rich boy club, but let's call it what it is, a family. It's the rich boy family. So when you see the rich boys in the government, they sending money overseas and stuff, that is not for the people. Stop being silly. Mm-hmm. No. They giving their brother or helping their brother out with some money. The money will get this through your head. The rich will never, ever do anything or send any kind of aid or money to the people. So when you hear that, oh yeah, they gave 400 million to Ukraine to help do the refugees. Listen, that all of that stuff is a lie. No, that money is going to the rich over there. Yep. And then they send money back to their rich brothers over here. Because guess what? They are family. Right. But you being poor, you are not a part of their family. But I know we got to get on to the lesson, brothers. So I don't know why I got off into that. I guess that was just something that had to be said.
It's got to be.
That's something that just had to be said. But all right, brothers and sisters. So today we're going to be taking a look at Romans chapter 4. Just picking up where we left off from last time. And Romans 4 is just a continuation of Romans chapter 3. Remember, in Romans chapter 3, Paul was essentially telling those Israelites in Rome that, hey, listen, righteousness comes by faith, not through the works of the law. Okay, it comes through faith in Christ, because who is Christ? Christ is the judge. And it's up to Christ to pardon you or declare you righteous, because prior to that, guess what? You're a criminal. Because remember, essentially, and we modernize it here, Paul basically was telling them, listen, working in the law, it's the same as being under probation. It's the same as being under parole. Okay, and being under that probation or being under that parole is a symbol or a status that what? You're a criminal. And until that probation or until that parole ends, guess what? You remain a criminal. Mm-hmm. But when that status of probation and parole is lifted from you, brothers and sisters, then what? You are no longer deemed a criminal, because those things are only for what? Criminals. So as long as you're on that, it's always a status to you and other people around you that you're a criminal. So as long as you are under probation and under parole. Okay. But to have those things lifted from you by the judge means that what? You are now a free citizen. Mm-hmm. You are no longer a criminal, which means what? The work that you was doing under the probation or parole, guess what? It stops. Because now you have now obtained a free status. You're no longer a criminal. Okay. And so essentially, that's what Paul was saying in Romans chapter 3. And so he's continuing this same thought. right? Because remember, this is all one thought. It's broken up for us in chapters and verses so that way we can get a better understanding. But this is all one thought, brothers and sisters. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started with Romans chapter 4 because I done did enough talking. Romans chapter 4, and we're going to read verse 1. Okay, Romans 4, well, really 1 through 3, but go ahead with verse 1.
What shall we say then? That Abraham our father, as pertaineth to the flesh, have found?
And we know that Abraham found what? Righteousness through faith. Okay, and to say that you're a child of Abraham is to say the same thing, that you also will have found righteousness through faith, which would make you the flesh child or the child of promise that came from Abraham. Go ahead.
For if Abraham were justified by works, he hath whereof to glory,
Or to boast.
but not before God.
So it says if Abraham were justified by works, so Paul is basically humoring them. He's like, okay, let's say let's say Abraham did find justification through works. He says he have whereof to boast. And when he says whereof to boast, he's meaning before men. He says, but not before God. Why? Because the fact that you are working to be justified means that, think about this, y'all. The fact that you were even working to be justified, that indicates that prior to you being justified and becoming righteous, that means you were unrighteous.
Yeah.
That means you were evil. That means you were a criminal. Things which God never was, which is why you can't boast about that to God, because God never was a criminal. He never was evil. He never was unrighteous. In fact, you can't boast because God created us to be righteous. Brothers and sisters, righteousness is the bare minimum. Righteousness is the standard. Okay, that's like, right, you on your job and you boasting to all your coworkers about how you be doing your job. Yeah, boy, I be doing my job. And I'm good at my job too, boy. Yes, sir. And your work is like, yeah, man, yeah, you good at your job. Man, you be doing your job and stuff. Now that's going to impress your coworkers. But your boss going to look at you and be like, why are you happy for doing what I hired you to do? What, you want a cookie? No. I hire you to do your job. That's not something to be happy about. You doing your job is the bare minimum. That's the standard. That's why I hired you to do your job. You can't boast, oh, look, I'm doing my job. Yeah, that's why I hired you to do your job. So that don't make sense, brothers and sisters. And believe it or not, you got people like that too. You happy because you doing your job. Well, that's why you was hired, to do your job. Congratulations, you met the standard. The bare minimum. You were supposed to do that because I hired you for that. Right. I hired you to do your job. Oh, man. All right, brothers and sisters. So now we're going to read verse 3 because remember, it says, what shall we, this was verse 1. What shall we say then that Abraham, our father, as pertaining to the flesh, have found? Well, it's going to answer it right here. Verse 3.
For what saith the scripture? Abraham believed God, and it was counted unto him for righteousness.
So he believed God without works. Because, brothers and sisters, let me just tell you this way. If God declares something, if God declare you righteous, brothers and sisters, you're righteous. Simply because he's God and he said it. And he's just asking you, hey, do you believe it? That's all he's saying. Just like those Israelites in time past. Remember when they was under the law? Hey, Christ had died for them and he pardoned their sin, which means they could leave off of the works of the law. Because remember, you were under the law because you were trying to acquire righteousness. Now, if you acquire that righteousness through Christ, guess what? The work stopped because you've acquired what you was looking for. If you find what? Treasure, you're not going to go back to looking for treasure. No, I found the treasure. So the work for looking for the treasure has stopped. Okay. Therefore, with the woman and the issue of blood that we going to get to a bit later. That was a parable of that. But no, God declared it, and all Abram had to do was believe. Mm-hmm. And what did God declare? He declared to him the promise. And we know a part of the promise for us is we know the kingdom and all of that. But a part of that promise too was what? That you would be declared righteous. All you got to do is just believe. In other words, what is Jesus saying? Take me at my word. Mm-hmm. Ain't no evidence of nothing. I'm telling you what? Take me at my word. You take your pastor at his word. Mm-hmm. You take your nasty, crusty friend at his word. Why you won't take God at his word? Because man, they fail you. They be lying in there to deceive you, but not God. He telling you, listen, I'm declaring you righteous because I said you are righteous. But do you believe it? That's what it come down to, brothers and sisters. Ultimately, and I got to repeat it, that's what it comes down to. I'm God. I do whatever the heck I want to do. And if I want to declare you righteous, you're going to be righteous. Now, what I'm telling you is, do you believe it? If you believe it, you're going to be righteous because I said you're righteous. And if you don't, you're going to remain condemned. That's what he's telling you. Mm-hmm. Now, let's go real quick to Genesis 15. Genesis 15, and we're going to read verses 5 and 6 because we're going to get an example. We're going to take a look at an example of this verse 3. For what saith the scripture? Abraham believed God, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. Okay. Now go ahead and read Genesis 15, verses 5 and 6 when you get there.
And he brought him forth abroad.
He brought Abraham forth.
And said, look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be.
So he's saying Abraham, and Abraham was old, by the way. Now, he's like, I'm going to make your seed as the stars of heaven. And with some understanding, we know that what the Lord was really talking about was heavenly Jerusalem. Even though he would end up having a physical seed, but he wasn't really talking about earthly Jerusalem. He was talking about heavenly Jerusalem, the children of faith of Abraham. And what it say in verse 6?
And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
Without any works. And remember, there was no law of Moses. There was no law of Moses. So it always came down to that faith. Mm-hmm. That's what it was always about. Your status of righteousness, your status of prosperity, all of that is dependent upon God and whether or not you believe. Now, I want to let y'all know something too. In that verse 5, what did Abraham work? Did Abraham do any kind of works for God to even, just forget a second about Abraham believing? Did Abraham even do any works for God to declare that over him in the first place? So God, of his own goodwill and of his own grace, he declared that over Abraham. He the one chose Abraham. He the one that declared this over Abraham. Abraham didn't do anything to deserve any of this, any of these declarations of God. That's what makes it grace. That's what makes it favor. It's something that you could not work for. It's something that simply God has declared. And he's saying, hey, I'm willing to give this to you of my own free and good will. Hey, only thing I'm asking you is, do you believe? You believe you're going to have it. If not, you ain't going to have it. It's literally that simple. It's not rocket science. Because we always look at Abraham, believing, and he believed on God. First of all, it's like, what did he even do? Did he do anything for God to even declare something over him in the first place? No. That was of God's own free will. That was of his own kindness. But back to Romans chapter 4, and we're going to read verse 4 and 5. Wait a minute, we read that. Okay, yeah. So back to Romans 4, and now we're going to read verses 4 and 5. Okay, and when you get there, go ahead.
Now to him that worketh is the reward not reckoned of grace, but of debt.
Right, go ahead.
But to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justifieth the ungodly, his faith is counted for righteousness.
That's right. And so that is a righteousness that we're looking for is wholly dependent on God and what he did. Because remember, brothers and sisters, we essentially were put under the law of Moses because we didn't have any faith. And because we were not righteous. And so basically, we were serving out an eternal punishment unto the judge of his own goodwill. Because remember, we just read with Abraham, we did nothing to deserve the declaration of righteousness. You can't work for that. You can't work for that which is of God's own will, his own goodwill. We did nothing for Christ. We didn't work for anything for Christ to come down and die for us, if that makes sense. You didn't work for Christ to come down and die for your sins to declare you righteous. There's nothing you did. That was God of his own free will. In fact, he died for you while you was yet a sinner, unrighteous, and working. And it was him that came to us and said, I now declare you righteous. Do you believe it or not? But that was not something that we worked for, because that's something you can't work for. Because it was something that was given to you freely. And if anything, we owe God for not being righteous. And of course, we owe him through what? Eternal damnation. But Christ decided to pay that debt for us. And he experienced that eternal damnation for us. It just could not hold him. Because why? He never sinned. He was righteous. Okay. Now let me make sure I ain't forget nothing. Let me make sure I ain't forget nothing. Hold on, y'all. I just want to make sure. Sometimes I just be going. Now, it says, but to him that were, verse 5, but to him, because I wanted to elaborate on that verse 5 a little bit more. To him that worketh not, but believeth on him, worketh what? In the law of Moses. Because remember, you were trying to use that to become justified, to obtain that status of righteousness. It says, but to him that worketh not, but believeth on him that justifies, or give that status of righteousness to the ungodly, the faith is counted for what? Righteousness. Because, brothers and sisters, again, you were working in the law because you was trying to obtain that righteousness. That's why you was working. But you couldn't obtain it through them works. But Christ came declaring us righteousness. And if we believe, we become righteous. So now that we've become righteous under Christ, guess what? Those works under the law of Moses, they stop. Why? Because you've not acquired that which you've been looking for. That's like me. I'm going to work, right? Every single day. And I'm saving up money to try to get a car. Not now, nothing like that. I'm just using the example. But it's like you go to work every day, you ain't got no car. So you working and working because you trying to get the money together to come get this car. Now, guess what? Once you've been working, this hypothetically now, once you get the money and you buy the car, are you still working to get a car once you got the car? No, the work stopped. Because you've obtained that which you was working for. You've obtained the car. And so the point is once you've acquired what you were looking for, the work stops in trying to obtain. We're going to see that with the woman with the issue of blood. Let's go to Luke 8. And I hope it's making sense, brothers. And I know it's fairly difficult sometimes because, with this old English and the Bible, things sometimes feels like it gets lost in translation. So I'd be trying to do my best to try to give y'all examples or modernize it in some way. So Luke chapter 8, and let me see, verse 43. We're not going to read all of this. We're going to just read verses 43 and 44. Okay, now I want to let you guys know this is an example of a lawkeeper who has attained righteousness through Christ. And through that attaining of righteousness, the works stopped. Because you've obtained the righteousness, so you no longer work in the law of Moses. Why? Because you've obtained that which you was looking for. Let's go ahead and look at it right here. Luke chapter 8, and we're going to read verses 43 and 44. Go ahead.
And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years.
Now stop. Now this woman right here in this parable, now we know this is a living parable because it actually happened. This woman represents the lawkeeper in this parable. The woman represents the lawkeeper, and it says having an issue of blood 12 years. So this issue of blood of 12 years is this status of unrighteousness. That's what this is, the status of unrighteousness. And go ahead with the rest of that 43.
Which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any.
Okay, and that's them works in the law. Because you're trying to work to change this status from being unrighteous to righteous. Okay, so it says spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any. So no matter how many works in the law that you did, you could not become righteous. You could not obtain that status that you were looking for. Okay, you couldn't be cleansed. You couldn't be made whole like this woman right here. And so that's why you keep working in the law. Because guess what? You still a criminal. You have not obtained that status of a free citizen. You're still unrighteous. You still have this issue of blood. But verse 44
came behind him and touched the border
of Jesus. Came behind Jesus and touched what?
The border of his garment. And immediately her issue of blood stanched.
But when she came to Christ and she touched Christ, she became whole. She has now, or this lawkeeper through Christ has now become righteous. Now that you've become righteous, or this woman, now that she's been healed of her issue of blood, brothers and sisters, now that she's obtained what she was looking for, which was this healing, is she gonna be still going spending all her money on physicians, which was the work of the law? Was she still gonna be doing the work of seeking out physicians, spending this money to be made whole? No, because she's whole. And so because she found what she was looking for, because she became righteous, or this lawkeeper became righteous, because that's what it's a metaphor for, guess what? The work stops. Because I've attained righteousness now. So I no longer have to work in the law. I'm free now. So for her to then be healed of this issue of blood, and then to say, well, I'm still going, Christ plus the law, I'm still going to go out and seek them physicians. That's an oxymoron. That don't make any sense. You're healed. There's no need for you to there's no need for you to seek out physicians. Unless what? You don't believe you've been healed. Then you're going to go back to work. You're going to go back out to seeking them physicians, because I don't believe that Jesus healed me of my issue of blood. So I'm still going to go out there and seek them physicians out. You can't be under both, brothers and sisters. You cannot be under Christ and the law of Moses. That doesn't make any sense. You see how that don't make any sense? That's like me, right? I'm a man and I'm seeking for a wife, okay? And I'm I'm working. I'm talking to different women. I'm trying to get to know them, trying to get a feel for women, stuff like that, because I'm looking for my soulmate. So I'm working. That's me working, trying to find my soulmate, trying to find my wife. But eventually I end up finding her, this woman, and I marry this woman. And guess what? She becomes my wife. I found what I'm looking for. I no longer have a need to be going out there trying to search, which would be representative of the work, because guess what? I found my wife. No, I found my wife, Christ plus the law. No, I found my wife, but I'm still going to go out there and search for my wife. Your wife right here, you just found them. See how it's an oxymoron? It don't make sense, brothers and sisters. Once you've obtained what you're looking for, the work stops. That's just like a man or a woman on his job. They working and working, right? Because they're trying to work because they trying to become wealthy. And guess what? Once they obtain that wealth, literally the work stops.
That's right.
Go on ahead, tell them, Zara.
Romans chapter 9, verses 31 and 32. Just to back up what you're saying. It says, but Israel, which we know is Judah, which followed after the law of righteousness, that is to say, the law of Moses, have not attained to the law of righteousness, right? So that's what you was talking about. Like, they are under the law and they're constantly trying to work and perform to obtain this righteousness, this justification.
Right.
But they can't. That's what Paul is saying.
And
That's why he said have
law,
not.
And you being under the law is proof or your evidence that you have not obtained it. That's why you working.
Right. And that's why the apostle says have not attained it. Verse 32, he says, wherefore or why? Because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. See, so they're thinking by performing or trying to keep this law, this is how we're going to get it, but they can never get it because the only way you can obtain the righteousness of the law is by faith only.
Right.
It says, for they stumble at that stumbling stone, and we know that's Jesus Christ.
That's right.
So in other words, the law was pointing them to Christ and to have faith in him, and you will receive this righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
But they reject Christ, and so therefore they keep working.
Exactly.
All right, and that's what the Sabbath day, I have to keep bringing this up because it's true. When these brothers and sisters look in the law of Moses with that veil on their face, all they see is a day, the Sabbath day. Don't do no work on it. But it actually was about this.
Right.
The law was work. And as long as the children of Israel were under the law, that was those 6 days. But now the seventh day has come. And the seventh day is Christ Jesus.
Right.
So and that's what you were saying. So now once you have that faith and you just believe what Christ said, take me at my word. You believe on me,
Literally.
you have it. You don't have to perform the law of Moses to obtain it. Just believe in me.
Right.
Then you can what? You can stop working.
Mm-hmm.
You can do like the woman that had the issue of blood. You good now.
You good.
You got your healing. You no longer have to return to the physicians
Spending
or
all your money.
the physician or who? The law.
The law.
And then you had the priest, those Levites, all of those people who administered that law of Moses. You don't have to go back to them
Mm-hmm.
because the physician is here.
It's just like Adam, because of his lack of faith, guess what? He lost his status as a son of God. And he became what? He became a criminal. Or he had become unrighteousness. And because of that, he was put to what? Work. But through his justification, which we know is through Christ, guess what? He now leaves off of that work and he can now return back to this garden. Free. Free from work. Because for Adam to, because think about it, brothers and sisters, for Adam to return to the garden means that he has left off of work that God placed him under. Think about that for a second, y'all. For Adam to return back to that garden, that means he has left off of that work.
And I was just gonna touch on this too, because Brother Ryan, he had put in the chat, and I know we talked about this, but he was talking about the thief that was on the cross next to Jesus. And he basically essentially he believed in Jesus and said, hey Lord, I want to be with you. Now I believe in you. Now the other thief, he was mocking or whatever like that. But Jesus told him what? This day you shall be with me in paradise. Now, according to those who believe that we're supposed to keep the law of Moses for righteousness, that thief would have had to find a way to get down.
Yeah.
From that cross. And he would have had to go fulfill the law of Moses. Seriously.
Nah, you're right.
Because if it was truly based off of that, he got to find a way down. And he's going to have to make sure he fulfills the complete requirements. Because if he doesn't, he ain't going to be in paradise.
That's right.
But what did Jesus say? You're going to be with me this day in paradise.
Right.
Why? Because faith. Faith. And that's something that our brothers and sisters don't understand.
Because he believed that Christ cleansed him.
I mean, you have to think about that. If it was truly you had to keep this law to get righteousness, like these camps and churches teach, he'd have been in trouble.
Doomed.
So no, it really is your faith.
Right.
And we have to believe our God. And that's always been an Achilles heel for the people of Israel, that lack of faith in their God. Can't just take God at his word. I need to see something. You got to show me something. We
Mhm.
saw that with Moses.
Mm.
The Lord couldn't just send Moses to Israel. He got here. Let me give you some signs and stuff because you know Israel.
Faithless.
Moses even said, he said, you know these people, faithless. So the Lord had to show him about what to do with the rod and turning his hand in the leper until his hand got to go from black and white because these is
They don't
black to
believe.
white because these Israelites don't believe.
They can't just quite literally, brothers and sisters, and I'm
Mhm.
not kidding you. Our people quite literally can't take God at his word.
They can't. And
Because essentially that's what we're looking at here. You either gonna take me at your word
Right.
or not. And it's that simple. And then too, that thief on the cross, look at it. He reached out to Christ.
Mhm.
He believed that even though he had did all that evil, he knew he was unrighteous. He believed if I reach out to Christ, Christ can cleanse me. He can declare me righteous. And that's exactly what happened. And when that thief die, he gonna be resurrected and he gonna be with Christ. Because righteousness too, brothers and sisters, it was never dependent on us anyway. It was always dependent on God and what he do and what he decided. Because remember, he's the one, he is the one that declares. He's the one that pardons. That's all up to Christ, not us. We can't pardon ourselves. We're a criminal. A criminal can't pardon themselves from probation, from parole. No, the judge has to do that. The one who administered the status. The one who administered the status is the one that can take the status away, or the only one that can take it away. Not the criminal. Ain't nothing they can do to take that status off of them. Only the one who administered it can. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, where we at, Mama?
Okay, we're back in Romans chapter 4 and verse 6.
Okay. And go ahead.
It says, even as David also describeth the blessedness of the man unto whom God imputeth righteousness without works.
Or declare. It says, even as David also described the blessedness of the man whom God declared righteous without what?
Works.
Without works. 7.
Saying, blessed are they whose iniquities are forgiven and whose sins are covered.
And like Zahara said, a perfect example of that was the thief on the cross. That was a perfect example of what David is saying right here, was that thief on the cross. Blessed is the man whom the Lord will not impute sin. And notice it keeps saying the Lord. It's based off of what he do and what he decide. There is nothing you can do. The only thing you can do in your own hands and your own power is to just believe whatever God say. That's it. Go ahead.
And I just wanted to point this out before you continue, just to help out our brothers and
Let me
sisters
use the restroom too. Hold on. All this water.
who, because you'll have a lot of brothers and sisters, they'll hear Paul talk about the works of the law, and what they'll say is what he's talking about is animal sacrifice. Okay, yeah, that's what Paul's talking about. He's talking about the law, the animal sacrifice. He's not talking about all the works of the law, all of it, just that. Well, let's go to Galatians chapter 3 and verse 10, so we can understand that when the apostles are talking about the works of the law, they're talking about that whole law. Okay, so that's Galatians chapter 3 and verse 10. For as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, cursed is every one that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. Now he said all things. So now the apostle just told you, for as many are as are of the works of the law are under the curse. And then he tells you what the works are by quoting Deuteronomy chapter 27 and 26 and telling you that doesn't do all. So no, it's not just animal sacrifice.
Mhm.
So when you hear the Paul and all the other apostles talking about the works of the law, they're not just talking about animal sacrifice. They're talking about all the law. All you got to do, he quoted Deuteronomy chapter 27. Read that chapter and you will see that it was more than just animal sacrifice. As a matter of fact, I don't even think animal sacrifice was mentioned in that chapter, you know. So this say what it say. And all of the law was not animal sacrifice. So don't let these Israelites deceive y'all. They read this and they know it's true, but because of pride, they refuse to humble themselves to the Father's will and believe in his son. This is why they can
Because
lie
they
like
have no
this.
faith.
They have no faith, exactly. So he's talking about all the law. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just go to Deuteronomy chapter 27 real quick. Brother Reggie Jr. getting himself together just to show you, because he quoted this. Deuteronomy 27 and, for example, 15. Cursed be the man that maketh any graven or molten image, an abomination unto the Lord, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and put it in a secret place. And all the people shall answer and say, Amen. See, there's no animal sacrifice mentioned.
Right. And then too, to back up everything that Zahara was saying, brothers and sisters, go real quick to John 5 and 24. Because Jesus, remember, he understood the fear of these law keepers. He understood the fear of these law keepers and depending solely and only on Christ without the works of the law. Jesus, he fully understood their fear. Let's read John 5 and 24. When you get there, go ahead.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life.
Because remember, Jesus is telling you, listen, I'm the judge and I've come to pardon you, and I'm giving you this status of unrighteousness. So guess what? You no longer have to work the works of the law of Moses. You can leave off on that because I've cleared your status. You have now gone from criminal to a free citizen. Okay. But see, he understood the law keeper's fear. Go ahead.
And shall not come into condemnation.
Now hold on, read all that all over again.
Start from the beginning.
From the top.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word
Or believe on me for righteousness and
and
not the law, and put the law away once they have come to me, because they look for, they've become righteous. There is no more need for the law of Moses. Keep on reading.
and believeth on him that sent me have everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death into life.
Now, brothers and sisters, condemnation according to what? That's what you should be asking yourself. Condemnation according to what? Believe on me only. Have no fear. And you believe on me, and I promise you will not come into condemnation. Because he understood the law keeper's fear. Condemnation according to what? The law of Moses, brothers and sisters. That's what it's talking about. Because what saith the law of Moses? Cursed be everyone that don't do this law.
Do this law, exactly.
But Jesus said, if you believe on me, you will not be cursed.
Mhm.
And he said, but you'll be passed from death to life. That's what he's telling you. You won't be condemned. You won't fall up under these curses. You will not die at the end. That's what he's telling you. So you don't have to be sitting at home scared to death about, should I be keeping the Sabbath day? Should I be doing this? Should I be keeping the holy day? Should I be doing that? No, Jesus said, just believe on me and you won't fall or come into condemnation. Because them law and the prophets, they was always about me. Life and death.
Mhm.
Life and death was never in the law. It was in me. If you believe on me, you're going to have life. You're going to be declared righteous and you're going to get all of them promises. The kingdom, dominion, glory, the heathen for servants. You're going to get all that. But he said, but if you don't believe on me, you're going to die to death.
Mhm.
And them curses are going to be much worse than the law. You're going to get an eternal death. That's what he's telling you. So even the death and life, the blessings and the curses that you read in Deuteronomy 28, that the brothers and sisters, they love bringing it up. Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus. Listen, all of that was talking about Christ. And it was a shadow of what will happen if you don't believe on him. But it could go over, but those that don't understand, that's going to go right over their head. So now, back to Romans 4, and where we at more?
Let me turn my page back. I got caught up in this. I'm sorry. Verse 7.
That's how it be too.
Yes, my wheels are turning.
You ever been teaching a lesson and then get caught up in your own
Yeah.
lesson that you teach? You
Yeah,
be like,
yes.
all right, Romans 4, and now we're going to read verse 7. Go ahead.
Saying, blessed are they whose iniquities are forgiven.
Because it is not in your power and it never will be for you to declare yourself righteous. It's all wholly dependent on God. All you got to do is believe. Go ahead.
And whose sins are covered.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed is the man to whom the Lord will not impute sin.
So whom the Lord will not impute sin, not you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're a criminal. Criminals have no say in their status of whether or not they can become free again. That's up to the judge. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to read verses 9 through 13. Go ahead.
Cometh this blessedness then upon the circumcision only,
Okay. And that's to say the Jews which had that written law. Go ahead.
or upon the uncircumcision also?
And we know the uncircumcision, that was the northern kingdom. They didn't have the written law. Remember, they got the boot. Get your behind out of here. But one thing we do know is the Israelites with the written law and the ones without it, they was both wicked. Evil to the core. Go ahead.
For we say that faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
How
See.
would I'm sorry.
For we say that faith was reckoned or imputed to Abraham for righteousness. Because remember, it wasn't by the law. Because the law is your symbol that you're what? A criminal. Go ahead. We'll start at the top of verse 10.
How was it reckoned? How was it then reckoned? When he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision?
Well, he was in uncircumcised, because we know Abraham, he was uncircumcised. Go ahead.
Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision.
Mm-hmm.
Uncircumcision. Verse 11, and he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith which he had yet being uncircumcised.
Now, brothers and sisters, I want to let you guys know we are still under this sign of circumcision. But which one? And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But keep reading the 13.
That he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised,
That's right.
that righteousness might be imputed unto them also.
Right. And that was talking about the northern kingdom. But even further down the road, it was talking about us, brothers and sisters. Because our ancestors, the southern kingdom, they too would get the size 50 boots out of the land. And so all the law of Moses and all of that, that would be a thing of the past, because the southern kingdom was going to get the boot too. Okay. And many of us born in this captivity, brothers and sisters, we weren't circumcised at no 8 days old. We in trouble. And ain't no excuse. Well, my this heathen, they be doing this. God ain't hearing none of that. I don't want to hear nothing about no heathen. You are a debtor to do the whole law. If you don't do it, you will die the death at the end. So guess what? You need to be saved from that. Well, that's why Christ died for us. So we could come under his righteousness. Yeah, read all of that 12.
No, we finished 11.
Okay. And then this too, through this faith, this was how the Lord would put those two sticks back together, Israel and Judah. Because as we know, there was a split which these teachers know about, but they refuse to talk about it. Because it's going to get in the way of they heathen sympathizing. Okay, verse 12.
And the father of circumcision to them who are not of the circumcision only, but who also walk in the steps of that faith of our father Abraham, which he had being yet uncircumcised.
And again, so all of that was done to Abraham too, because it was meant to cover the northern kingdom later, who was separated, got the boot and everything. This would be the way that Jesus, through this faith, this is how he would put the two sticks back together and make them one again. Because again, I told you guys, what Christ is doing is he's making, or he's already established it, the new commonwealth, the new nation, the new 12 tribes of Israel that is greater and mightier than that old one. This, that heavenly Jerusalem, it's going to be greater and more mightier than the earthly one. That's what we was reading with Moses. He said, Moses, I'm going to take all them out. He said, out of you, I'm going to make a greater and a more mightier nation out of you. And they going to do what I say. But he didn't do it. I ain't going to do it. But he ended up accomplishing it through Christ. And we see it. This new nation is being created right before our very eyes. Those Israelites who have faith in Christ, not of the law of Moses, but under Christ, and they know how to walk in love and treat their brothers and sisters, them the ones that are going to be inducted into this new nation of Israel, by which God is going to keep his promise to Abraham. That's the nation he using to keep his promise to Abraham. But the rest of the Israelites that believe and they don't walk in love, they're going to get the boot. They're going to be put outside of the camp. Okay. And now that you read all the 12, I wanted to go back to this verse 11. It says, and he meaning Abraham received the sign of circumcision, a seal of righteousness of the faith, which he had yet being uncircumcised, that he might be the father of all them that believe. And brothers and sisters, we are still under this sign of circumcision as a seal of the righteousness of faith, but not that of the flesh. Let's go real quick to Romans 2. Well, I tell y'all, boy, back when I was younger and I used to be a part of the Christian church, boy, we ain't never read this much Bible. Maybe half a verse in a short story, and you was sent out of there. Not before you put that money in that basket. This the most reading. Oh yeah, so you would say so?
I was gonna say even well, even these, camps and churches, these Sabbath day camps and churches, they don't read the entirety of the Bible either to the congregation.
They don't.
They cherry pick. But they'll point and talk about the Christian church, and I'm like, well, y'all got a lot in common. They don't read the Bible in its entirety, and you all don't either.
Sure don't.
And the reason why these camps and churches will not teach chapter by chapter and verse by verse is because they know that it will obliterate their doctrines
with ease.
Mm-hmm.
Not with difficulty, with ease.
Because their doctrines are motivated by money.
Yeah.
They trying to get this money, getting the members so they can get the money and use the people as they servants and peasants.
Might be some hard reality right there.
And our people need to demand. You need to tell your deacons, elders, the heads over these churches, be respectful now. Don't disrespect them.
Right.
But say, hey, can y'all start reading? Can we start going chapter by chapter and verse by verse so we can get a complete understanding?
Yeah. We trying to understand this book, man.
We trying to understand the book.
Because nobody sends you a letter in the mail and you just start in the middle. You only read one line and that's it.
Right.
Because I believe one of the elders at one of these big churches, he say he got the biggest camp where he at. I guess one of the members had asked and said, hey, can y'all start reading the whole Bible? He said, now you already know. We gonna stick to what we do. Y'all know I'm gonna teach subjects. And we ain't, staying away from that, straying away from it.
Right.
You're gonna get what you get.
No.
And it's like, man,
come get
like it's your job
slop.
as the priest of God. You're supposed to go through these scripts. You're supposed to go through all of it.
Right.
Not just picking.
This wasn't written. All of this book wasn't written, brothers and sisters, so you can skip over it. You're no different from the Christians. They get their highlighter out or they permanent marker, the black ink, and they just
right. And then I think a lot of them too, because not all of them have evil intent. Sometimes too, with these doctrines, they try to create guardrails with these doctrines, safety, because I don't want y'all to go outside of this, because then you're going to end up like Israel's church, for example. That's how they think.
Yeah.
You're going to end up going off. No.
You stick with this, you can't go wrong.
Right. But actually, you end up yeah, that's what they say. But actually you end up getting the very thing that you're trying hard to not get to for the people to go off.
Right.
Because people get curious. It's this big old Bible, we're not going through it, so then they come over to places like this where you don't want them to go, and they come listen.
In other words, what's the hard saying is you're actually opening up that door.
Right.
For them to go off and explore and get lost.
Right. Right. So, the leadership at these churches, y'all really have to open up this Bible and go through it. You got to read the whole thing. not just picking out bits and pieces, which creates a doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people get stuck in that. The Bible tells you, Peter says that we ought to grow in the knowledge and the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ. So we're supposed to be growing. But you'll be perceiving it as going backwards because you're stuck in a doctrine.
Think about that. That's true, brothers and sisters. All right. So again, Romans 4:11, it says, and he, meaning Abraham, received the sign of circumcision, a seal of righteousness of faith, which he had being yet uncircumcised. And brothers and sisters, we under Christ, having accepted in Christ, we receive this same sign of circumcision, a seal. And we're going to see what circumcision. Okay, Romans chapter 2, and we're going to read verse 29. So Romans chapter 2 and 29. Go ahead.
But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart.
See, there it go. That circumcision. But this one is that of the what? Of the heart. In what?
In the spirit and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of God.
So this circumcision is that of the heart. In other words, this circumcision is you walking in love. You've cut out that heart of hate, that film or that skin of hatred and malice and maliciousness towards your brother and towards your sister. And that's the sign right there that you have been justified by Christ and that you are righteous because you walk in love, whereas in times past you did not. And then let's go to Matthew 22. And we're going to read verses 37 through 40. So Matthew 22, verses 37 through 40. And when you get there, go ahead.
Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment.
So verse 37 and verse 38, that is what we call faith. That's the faith right there. Now, go ahead with verse 39 and 40.
And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
And that is the circumcision of the heart. So that's the faith and that's the circumcision right there. That's that second part. Love thy neighbor as I love thyself. That right there, that's the circumcision. That's the seal. That's the token. The seal and the token of verse 37. And then go ahead with that verse 40.
On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
So in other words, that right there is what we call faith and works. That right there. Or faith in circumcision. That's it right there. All right, Matthew 7. Matthew 7 and verse 13. When you get there, go ahead.
Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction.
Oh, my bad. I meant to do 7. I meant to put verse 12. I'm like, wait a minute, this don't sound right here.
That's okay.
It's still good scripture.
Yeah.
Verse 12.
Therefore, all things whatsoever you do, that men should do unto you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets.
And that is also to say what? That's Christ.
Mhm.
That's what Christ is all about. And he put you under that law in times past because that's what he was trying to get you to see that you were missing. And because you didn't have those things, that's why you were condemned.
Mhm.
But now that you've been declared righteous, now the Lord is saying, okay, now I want you to walk in that right there. Whatsoever you would do, whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. And that's why the Lord got his hands around the neck of this world and he's strangling men
Mhm.
Mhm.
because men don't know how to love.
Mhm.
And just what you said, remember a lot of these people who do this out here, you was talking about people who look down on the poor, they mock them, they laugh at them, they say, ha ha, they need to get your benefits, you need to go to work. They go to church somewhere. They say they're under the law, or they say they're Christians, or they say they whatever religion, but they don't have that whatsoever you would that men should do to you. I shouldn't want to see my brother and my sister, they snap, get took away, or they're Section 8 because of
Right.
some personal vendetta I got.
Right.
I should, because then that mean them and their children are going to go hungry. They're
Mhm.
going to the streets, and wintertime is coming.
But yet they talk about the ancestors.
Right.
They talk about the 48 laws of power.
Mhm. How are you godly? But they all think they holy because they go to the Sunday church, they go to the
Religious.
Sabbath church. Without love, you just have religion.
Exactly.
Vain, empty, worthless religion.
That's it.
And family, I had saw earlier where, before the lesson began, and y'all was talking about like all these homes that are empty, in these different cities, even here in Florida,
Yeah.
because people
Mhm.
can't afford to live on it. They put you out on the streets. But your pastor build another camp,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
fix up their church. Why they ain't buying these houses
Putting you in.
and putting you in them?
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of apartment complexes and hotels that are for sale.
Especially these mega churches.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's what that's what he was talking about when he came. He was pointing these things out that was happening in Israelite society.
That's right.
Now, we expect our enemies to do what they do to our people, but amongst each other, it should not be. And so
Right.
when Jesus came, he was getting on, especially the leaders of Israel, because they were walking around wealthy and rich. They were connected to the heathens anyway.
Right.
But their own people, and these were men who were under the law of Moses. Let's not forget.
Yeah, you can't forget that.
Christianity, as we know it today, was not around back then.
Right.
And here we have Jesus on the scene, dressing these law keepers down and saying, "You all are sinners,
That's right.
And
and
then
you don't know how to
remember,
love
brothers
your
and
people."
sisters, remember, like, we're among the heathens because the Lord is showing us what we look like.
To each other.
What y'all was doing to each other, I'm gonna let y'all live among that so you can see. And it's sad, brothers. It's brutal.
So essentially, what we have is, and I'm gonna just get on the law keepers, is they believe that as long as they are performing according to the rules that they read in the law, that they are holy and they have
Religious.
done their duty in the eyes of God. But God is saying you have not,
Right.
because the whole time it was always about your fellow man. You have neglected that. So you are not doing the works. You are not doing your duty. You're not.
Yeah,
You
you right.
think you are, because essentially, even when you look at the law, what that's mostly selfish, because what it is you're making sure that your um living up to the standard. So the focus is mostly on you and not on helping your fellow man.
Right.
That's why the Lord removed the letter, or he removed the law, so now that you can focus. Now it's not about you and what you're trying to keep. Now you should be able to look out now and do the work of Christ, which is to love your brothers and your sisters. And
Mhm.
love is not just a 4-letter word. Love is active.
Yeah.
So the works or the acts of the apostles that you seen the apostles doing, that was the love.
That's right.
All you have to do is go study Acts, go study Jesus. They was doing the work. That's faith and works.
And that's why I was telling you guys that love, we see it as a word, but it's a government, brothers and sisters. That's what it is. It's a government. It's a practice, as they say. Okay. All right, now, brothers and sisters, we're gonna go ahead and get back into Romans 4. And now where we was at, Mom?
We read verse 12.
Okay, so we read 12. Oh, okay, yeah, 13.
13.
Mhm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
For the promise that he should be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law, but through the righteousness of faith.
And essentially he's saying, and if you are of the descendants of Abraham, you're going to obtain that promise the same exact way, through faith, not through the law. All right. Now we're going to read verses 14 and 15. Go ahead.
For if they which are of the law be heirs, faith is made void.
Which they couldn't be heirs, because remember, that law was signifying that you didn't have any faith. That's why you was under the law. But that promise or that heirdom, that came by way of faith. It's for those that have what? Faith. So you couldn't be an heir if you was under that law, because you don't have any faith. That makes sense. Go ahead.
And the promise made of none effect,
Mm-hmm.
because the law worketh wrath. For where no law is, there is no transgression.
Because remember, it's like I told you guys that the law essentially, it was like probation. It essentially was like parole for the criminal. The law was never anything good per se, but it was just to show you that it's good, but not for you. Because essentially the law worketh wrath, because you're a criminal, and basically it was punishment, if that makes sense. Oh, you was finna say something?
I mean, just think about that, family. What he said. The law works wrath. So imagine you're trying to obtain the inheritance through the law, and he's telling you you're going to get wrath. And you have all of these Israelites holding on to the law
'Cause
for
you're a
dear
criminal.
life. Dear life. And he's saying this thing work wrath, and we know wrath brings condemnation. That's all you're going to get. This is why not only us, but these apostles here are telling you, let the law go, because this is what it works.
Because the wrath is for a criminal.
Right.
It's not for a free citizen.
Mm-hmm. So imagine you're sitting here expecting kingdom, and you're expecting all of these promises and rulership, and that's what you're going to get in the end. That wrath, that condemnation. And you have Israelites that want to come over here and they want to argue with us about this. When this is crystal clear, this is what you're going to get. That's why Jesus said, if you believe in me, you don't have to fear this condemnation that comes from this law, which worketh wrath.
And I like what Align R6F said. It's a constant reminder of sin. But the way I would reword it is, It's a constant reminder that you're under sin
Right.
and that you have not been justified.
Mhm.
So as long as you're under the law, that means you have not been justified. You still need justification, which means you still a criminal. And criminals get punished.
Mm.
And so to come from under the law, to come from under that probation, which would mean what? That you're a free citizen, that you're no longer a criminal, that you now have this status of righteousness, if that makes sense, brothers and
Mhm.
sisters. That's essentially what we're looking at.
Mhm. And we know he said the law worketh wrath. Again, he ain't just talking about the law of animal sacrifice. How is that going to work wrath? So he's talking about the whole law here. So imagine you thinking you keeping the Sabbath day, the feast days, you think you keeping the dietary law, you think you perfect. And you fringes. Some people, they pick and choose what they want to do. The new moon, some of them don't do that either. I don't wear clothes mixed with linen and cotton, and you think you're on your way. And the apostles are sitting here telling you, wrath,
Mm.
wrath,
Tell them
wrath.
that's what it works.
That's why Moses said, when this prophet like unto me come, which is Jesus, he said, hear ye him. He gonna have instructions for you. In other words, as Reggie Jr. say, get away from me, get off me, and go over there to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Israelites who will argue you down, because that's what unbelief does. It makes you argue. It stirs up debates, controversies, questions,
Right.
instead of just what? Believing, taking God at his word.
That's heavy, man. Heavy, heavy. And I was looking in that too. That's that Galatians 3:18. Now back to Romans 4. And where are we gonna read? 16. It says there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Therefore, it is of faith that it might be by grace,
That's right.
to the end the promise might be sure to all the seed, not to that only which is of the law,
Meaning that southern kingdom, them Jews which had the written law. Go ahead.
but to that also which is of the faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all.
That's right. To my northern kingdoms. Remember, they didn't have a written law. They had got cast off. And so they too were also under that same faith. Like you had to believe. Both groups were. And it didn't matter if you had the written law or didn't. If you wanted this status of righteousness, if you wanted the inheritance, if you wanted the promise, you have to believe on Christ. All right, now, trying to make sure I ain't skipping nothing. Okay, verse 17.
As it is written, I have made thee a father of many nations.
And it's to many nations, it's to my Israel. That's what that's talking about. Go ahead.
Before him whom he believed, even God,
That's right.
who quickeneth the dead, and calleth those things which be not as though they were.
Not because the dead or those things which came about, but it's simply because God declares. And whatever God declares, things just are. There's nothing you're doing to get anything. Everything is based off of the declaration of God. So if God declares you righteous, then you're going to be declared righteous. If he declares you condemned, you're going to be condemned. Everything is based off of the declaration of God. That's what it's trying to tell you. He God, and he do whatever he want to do. Verse 18.
Who against hope believed in hope, that he might become the father of many nations, according to that which was spoken, so shall thy seed be.
Mm-hmm.
And being not weak in faith, he considered
Because this is explaining that verse 18. It says, and being not weak in the faith, the what?
he considered not his own body now dead, when he was about 100 years old, neither yet the deadness of Sarah's womb.
Okay. Because he essentially, Abraham was taking Christ at his word.
Mm-hmm.
He had hope against hope, because when man looked at Abraham and they looked at Sarah, they looking like, dude, you old. Sarah not even having her menstrual cycle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So by all accounts of man, and not even just man, brothers and sisters, biology itself
Right.
declared that, because you know you like talking about biology itself, man's reasoning, but even beyond that, the body, because God gave the body cutoff times. Biology was against Abraham and Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And so man would look at that and say, you done. You can't have no children. So all of those things that God promised you, I'm sorry, it ain't gonna happen. Because look, man, your body is good and well beyond past having children.
Right.
But Abraham didn't give a flying flip. If God declared it, so will it be. And that was declared to Abraham as righteousness. He didn't stagger. He didn't look at not just man. He didn't look at biology itself. Screw biology. What we know to be a fact as men, that after a certain time is over.
Mm-hmm.
No human needed to pick on you or say it's done. No, biology tell you it's impossible. But through all that, he said, it's going to be, I believe in this promise because God declared it. And what he declared it's going to be, I'm taking God at his word. And guess what? It happened. Mm-hmm. Simply because God is God and he literally do whatever he want to do. Because he declared it, it was so. Well, I don't understand. How can this happen? And, how could Jesus not have a daddy, but he only had a mom, and then he was declared a Judean, and but he wasn't the physical son of Joseph, because God declared it. That's why. Mm-hmm. That's what he's telling you. I do what I want to do, son. That's right. I'm God. Whatever I declare, it's gonna be, and it's gonna stand. And see, Abraham understood that. Mm-hmm. That's right. So Abraham defied biology and what he knew and had faith in God. Go ahead.
And then I was fitting to say this too. And that's what I like about the Lord. He gonna test that faith. Because remember, he told Abraham this when he was 70 something, 75 or something like that. But look at all the time that went by. Abraham still believed God. Because he about 100, something like that, when
the Lord made
Isaac
sure
came.
his body. Think about it. The Lord made sure that Abraham and Sarah's bodies was dead.
Yes.
Completely infertile, according to biology itself.
Right.
Because God himself gave the body a cutoff time. But Abraham didn't care nothing about that. He said, man.
But that just shows you the power of faith. Because a lot of our people, when they hear faith being taught in love, they see it as weakness.
Right.
That's a weakness to have faith and love. But it is a power. This is what the dry bones in the valley is missing. Faith and love. That's why they did. Just like the deadness of what it said, the deadness of Sarah's womb. Isn't Israel dead as a people spiritually?
Mm-hmm.
Most people say it's over. You look at our people. If you don't use faith when you look at our people and see what that they will rise again, you would look and say, ain't no way.
Yeah. Like,
These
oh
people,
man.
these Israelites, it's over.
Look at what Ezekiel seen. He said,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. But see, faith says God gonna get it done.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great multitude without number. He gonna bring these dead Israelites back to life.
You have to believe that.
And you gotta believe that. That's faith is
Brothers and
powerful.
sisters, it's literally that simple.
Mhm.
You either take God at his word seriously or you don't.
Faith don't need evidence.
It needs no evidence.
It don't need to see something. Show me something first. You know, our ancestors always asked that. The Lord would tell them something that he was gonna do, and then they would say, well, show me something, show me this, or let me see this sign. Even in Jesus' day, they did that. The Jews would come seeking a sign. Jesus said, I ain't getting you no sign except the one Jonah. I'm gonna be in
You
the
just gotta
3
believe.
days and 3 nights.
You just gotta
You just
believe.
got
Think about that. And I like that, Sister Angela Caraway. It says, a man, he can declare anything he want. And brothers and sisters, that quite literally is the point. That's what he's telling you. I can do whatever I want to do, declare what I want, and literally you can't do anything about it. The only thing you could do is believe or not.
Well, I mean, at the very beginning, Genesis 1.
Yeah.
That's God doing what he want to do.
Yeah, doing what I want to do.
Let there be, and there was. Because God said it.
And how dare you question God on what he can or can't do? That's impossible. Jesus couldn't be born of a virgin. Who are you to tell God what he can and can't do?
But he made Adam from
Even our ancestors, when Jesus was walking the earth, how can he be the Son of God? Who are you to tell God that he couldn't declare Jesus the Son of God? Who are you? God do what he want, brothers and sisters. That's the point.
To back up what you were saying real quick, in Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 4, where the word of a king is Christ not a king?
He's a king.
Ain't God a king? Where the word of a king is, there is power. Power. Now the Lord told us what? This king told us, have faith in me. And you ain't got to worry about being condemned. You will be righteous. That's his word. You will receive the promises. And who may say unto him, what doest thou?
Right.
What you doing, Lord? You told us to keep the law of Moses. Now you gonna come over here and tell us to have faith?
Yes.
And we'll be righteous? Well, that's what Ecclesiastes 8 is saying. What you gonna tell the Father what you doing? How you gonna change your mind? You said you the same God of yesterday, today, and forever. So how you gonna change what you had gave to our ancestors, and then now you're gonna change it and tell us it's about faith and love? He's saying, how you gonna challenge the king?
Because I do what I want.
He do what he want to do.
In other words, that's another way of saying know your place, peasants.
Yes, know your place.
Know your place. We are in no position to be trying to question God. You are of him. He is not of you.
That's right.
All right, back to Romans 4. And we're going to keep on reading verse 20.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And it says, he staggered not,
Or he wavered not.
At the promise of God through unbelief.
Meaning looking at his body and his wife's body, Sarah. Go ahead.
But was strong in faith, giving glory to God.
Abraham's faith was indomitable.
Mm.
He had zero doubts in God. That's why he could put his son on the altar. Because later, I believe Paul said, because he understood that God could raise Isaac up again. In other words, brothers and sisters, he that cometh to God must believe that he is. That he is what? That he is God in quite literally and simply, brothers and sisters. He can do whatever he wants. There is no limitations. There is none of that, brothers and sisters. And the thing is, God know that. He know what he could do and everything. It's us that don't know.
Mhm.
It's us that struggle with the fact that he could do whatever he want to do. All right, Mom, verse 21.
And being fully persuaded that what he had promised, he was able also to perform.
That's right. He was fully persuaded.
Mm.
Not by no evidence either, but he just believed that God is. God can do it because he is. That's why he was fully persuaded, because God is. Go ahead.
And therefore it is imputed to him for righteousness.
Because he took God at his word. I believe you can do all things, Lord. There are no limitations. You are an unstoppable, eternal force. You cannot be resisted, and yet you cannot be pursued. You just are. And Abraham believed that, brothers and sisters, and that was counted to him for righteousness. Verse 23.
Now, it was not written for his sake alone that it was imputed to him, but for us also, to whom it shall be imputed, if we believe on him that raised up Jesus, our Lord, from the dead.
Because that's from the beginning, brothers and sisters. That's what it's always been about. Do you believe God? Do you have faith? Remember, that's why Adam fell. It wasn't through works, it was through faith. Because he didn't believe the plan that God had for him.
Mm-hmm.
I got you as a God in training. And after some time elapsed, we like to say 7 days, and on the 8th day, I'm going to turn you into God.
Mm.
And these children that you have during these 7 days, that they're going to be turned into God too, because I'm making a God family. But here comes Satan. The Lord ain't going to do that. He got to get you to doubt God's power. That's the point.
That's right.
That's what Satan came to do. I got to make Adam and Eve doubt God's power.
That's right.
He can't do that for you right there, man. Just do this over here. And because of that lack of faith, because you doubted God's power and who he is, you fail. Verse 25.
Who was delivered for our offenses and was raised again for our justification.
Right. And he was delivered, brothers and sisters, of himself. He was delivered of himself. He did that, not us. We did nothing for him to come down to die for our sins so that way we could be justified. That was all on God. All he telling you to do is just believe. That's it. Take me at my words. And brothers and sisters, that is all that I have for you. I appreciate you, brothers and sisters, time sticking around to hear the word of the Lord. I know it'd be a lot of scriptures and it'd be a lot of explaining of the word, but brothers and sisters, we got to get some understanding. Got to get some understanding. That is very important. You have to know what you worship. Know what you worship, brothers and sisters. So that's it, brothers and sisters. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And God willing, I will see you in the next lesson. Shalom.